And so if last week's episode was about grace, offering yourself grace, offering other people grace,
Hmm.
I kind of want this discussion to be about just stop assuming. Please stop assuming. Um,
What is that common adage? What does assuming make you and me? And yeah,
makes a behind out of you and I.
yeah, yep. Somebody's behind. Oh, well, welcome, Psych fans, to another fun-filled, action-packed day of psychology. Thank you for hanging out with our craziness and the truckload of fun that we try to have on this show. And thank you for listening. I mean, you've come a long ways here. I mean, we're recording these now in the teens. Oh my God, Freeze, I can't believe we're approaching 20 episodes
We're
already.
getting we're getting closer. We're not quite there yet, but we
Not
are
quite
getting
there yet.
closer.
Oh yeah, maybe we need to do some type of celebration or something like that. But
We need to. We need
yeah,
to do one at
we need.
20. So everybody chime in, tell us what you want us to do at 20.
Yeah, tell us what we should talk about, and we'll bring up those festive things, and fill up the comments there. Love to read those comments. Love to hear from people. We always respond to all of those that we have received, and we'll continue to receive. And if you don't feel quite bold enough to do that, that's okay. Hopefully, if you find something later on down the road that excites you, we will. We'll either talk about it or love to hear the comments that you've got. So,
You also can either email us at exemplaryfunction@gmail.com, or you
mhm.
can find us on Facebook at Exemplary Function Podcast, and you can direct message us. So if you don't want to post yourself in the comments, which is totally fair, there are some computers that I'm not even logged into my account. So
So when you say post yourself, does that mean they have to post their actual No, I'm just kidding. Play on words,
this
dad
is
jokes. Yes,
this is
that's
not OnlyFans, Spencer.
yeah.
We would not do that.
I used to have a job at a calendar factory.
Oh
I got
no.
sacked because I took a couple of days off.
I think we need an actual joke corner for this.
I
Like
know,
we're
right?
entering our
Yeah.
joke corner.
This is our joke phase. Yeah. But I need to find some really good psychology jokes. That's what I need to do. But
Mhm.
all right, we digress though. Spence Kohler coming to you today, and excited about our topic that we're learning. I'm learning a lot of great things about myself. It's really interesting having a degree in psychology. It's one thing to learn about all the logistics of these things, but it's another thing, to have personal application. And I think that's one of the things that I'm grasping in this topic. And I'm excited to continue our discussion on attachment theory and attachment styles. And I just want all you listeners to know. I feel so attached to you guys right now.
I
Yeah.
have so many questions in this moment. So many
Right.
questions.
That's the point in time when Allison bleep.
We're just
You're
gonna
gonna bleep
edit.
it.
No, I
We're-
only I only bleep when you say words you don't mean to say.
Yes, yes,
I'm
thank
still
you. Thank you for doing that.
some people would need to be bleeped because of like foul language.
Yeah.
It's just because sometimes the right words don't come out
It's
of our mouths
because
that we intended.
Spencer trips over his big tongue. Blah, blah, blah.
Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, so we're
Aha.
we're diving into attachment. We're gonna have some fun finishing, hope possibly finishing up attachment. Who knows? We'll see.
Oh,
There's a lot to
it's the
this.
goal.
Yeah.
I know. I made some promises though about tools too. So we do need to dive back into
Yep.
attachment. Um,
And attachment
and
tools.
so that then we can get to the tool part of the attachments,
Yep.
attachment tools. Dear Spencer,
Mm.
it's been a week
Yeah.
and I'm this ties into attachment. So we're just gonna go here for a minute
Love it.
because here we are. I think, and this might be obvious to all of you who've been in relationships much longer than I have. But I think it just is important to still say out loud sometimes your partner is not you.
Mm.
And so approaching them as though they are you there's going to be some gaps in your knowledge and in your engagement with them, in your interactions with them.
Mm,
And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about attachment theory and love languages and like conflict resolution is more often than not, I can go into a conversation and look at the person as though they have my background and my perspective and my understanding. And so then I assume intent a lot. And so if last week's episode was about grace, offering yourself grace, offering other people grace,
hmm
I kind of want this discussion to be about just stop assuming. Please stop assuming. Um,
What is that common adage? What does assuming make you and me? And yeah, never
makes it
mind.
behind out of you and I.
Yeah, yep. Somebody's behind.
Who's behind?
Yep,
I am.
mine.
Um, but I think that would be, it is so easy to assume intent. It is so easy to assume intent. And so the first tool, I promise we're going to get to dismissive. Nope, that was the one we ended on last week. Fearful avoidant,
hmm
also known as disorganized attachment. I promise we're going to touch on it. I think the context that's just important though in all of this is just to remember, don't assume. Be curious.
hmm
Like being curious, if I could go back in time and add the tools for like a healthy, strong, sustainable marriage, being curious would be number 4.
hmm
We still haven't figured out what number 3 is. Now's your moment to
Well,
what number three.
we're curious to,
We're
to
curious to
figure out
know
what number
what
three
number
is.
3 is.
To all of our listeners who are listening, if you'd like to jot down number three and let us know, we'd be greatly appreciative of
We'd
it.
love to hear what number 3 is.
Then
But
we'll
number
figure out
4
what's really going on.
But number 4 is curiosity and being curious. And I can think of any number of times when I have come in hot and heavy and angry. Not the other hot
Mm.
and heavy, but
Yeah,
just hot,
right,
heavy,
right.
and angry
Yeah.
of just like,
We
why
all
are
knew
you
what you were
doing
talking
this?
about.
Well, sometimes I wonder a little bit, but
Mm.
the just coming in so frustrated and so angry, not realizing how much I'm assuming until I've said something hurtful or painful or assumption heavy. And then my partner's like, that's not what I was saying. That's not what I meant. Like, this is what I was thinking and feeling. And I'm like, oh, that drastically changes what happened right there.
hmm
And I think a beautiful kind of bedrock structure, skeleton, whatever we want to call it, support system here to keep in mind with all of this is people aren't thinking what you think they're thinking. Ask more questions. Um, because for me, Saturday is a fantastic example.
Mm.
So I,
Oh, wait, story time. I have to go get the popcorn in just a minute. No, I'm just kidding. Go for it.
as you do the little steps, thunk, thunk, thunk,
Clunk, clunk,
thunk,
clunk, clunk, clunk. Walking away. This is me walking away now. And then I'll sit there, chomp on popcorn while you're talking. No, I'm sorry. I digress. Go on. You're
no,
talking.
you're good.
Saturday. Saturday was a good day. Go for it.
So Saturday was a rough day, but it was
Ooh,
a good day.
yeah.
So, I knew that I was helping friends move,
Mm-hmm.
and so I literally said out loud, I would hope to be done by noon, but I make absolutely no promises because I've done enough things with these friends and I know myself well enough to know that like as long as I'm needed, I'm going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And things have been a little bit bumpy with these friends just because of how I handled telling them about my relationship because I was scared and it was awkward and it was weird and enter the world we live in. And so I kind of wanted to use this opportunity of them moving. They're just like a few more minutes away, so it's all good. But like
Mm-hmm.
as kind of like a let me make up for like not handling things well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that was not just me doing that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, multiple people were involved, so multiple emotions and feelings were in the mix. But still, being the people pleaser and the avoidant that I am, instead of saying, I think we still have some unresolved issues here, I'm just going to help you and offer you manual labor, and then we don't have to talk about how we're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So,
There you go.
I'm sorry, I feel like you're psychoanalyzing me right now. It's fine.
No, 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 no. No, I'm just listening to the story like
Okay.
everybody else.
So I was off helping them move. They had a lot of help to like load stuff, but they
Mm-hmm.
didn't have enough room in their truck. And so then everybody left because we'd filled the truck. And then we got to their new house and nobody was there on the other end of the house to help them unload, really.
Oh,
So then
dang.
it was just me and them. And so we unloaded, and then there was still half or more than half a truck full left at their house. So then I jumped back in their truck and we went back to their house and we loaded some more. And so all that I need to say, it was very much past noon by the time I finished. And I got a phone call from my partner and I missed it because I was moving stuff. And I was so proud of myself. So I was like, okay, this is taking longer than I thought. But because I'm still scared and because I'm an avoidant and because I'm an avoidant anxious person, I didn't want to outright say that I was going to take a lot longer than what I originally said. But I'm still proud of myself because I still communicated. And I still said, okay, there's more to do than I thought. They're alone. It's going to be a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent the text off. Well, I see that she calls. This is like an hour and a half later. I had finally finished. Well, I finally had kept to my much later deadline because I had other appointments that day. And as I'm driving away, I see that my partner had called. So I call back. Nothing. So I get home and I'm like, I need food. I haven't eaten all day. So I'm cooking food. And
Mm-hmm.
she calls and she's like, where have you been? I'm like, well, I had told you I hadn't made any promises. And she's like, I've called you 5 times. Why did you not call me?
Wow.
Well, her phone has been weird lately and was not
Oh.
connecting calls to my phone. So
Mm.
I did not have a record that she had called. And in light of her texting me, in light of
Mm-hmm.
her calling me, and me getting a random text back saying, well, there's da 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 da. So let's just say both of us were very frustrated by the end of that interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And here I was going, I'm so proud of myself that I texted you. Like, instead of just hiding from you from 2 hours, people, I do this. Like, this is what it is to be an avoidant, is I am so afraid of disappointing someone that I would rather not have the interaction in the hopes that I can fix it before it becomes a problem than just have the interaction. Well, in this case, because she had been calling me for 5 hours, and I did not know that, she was justifiably frustrated.
Wow.
And then family showed up and we couldn't finish the conversation.
Dang it. Dang
So,
family. You have to show up and ruin the party.
it was rough. Did we resolve? Yes. So proud of us for resolving. We had the
Good.
conversation. But in that interaction, I could have just been really angry that she was frustrated because here I was, I texted. I did the thing that I have such a hard time doing. And she's sitting over here going, I called you 5 times. What's your problem?
Mm-hmm.
So if she's not curious, she's just going, you ignored my phone call. Why are you being so irresponsible? And I'm over here going, well, didn't you see that I texted and I'm trying really hard, even though it's scary? And
Yeah.
so we have two of us on two opposite sides of this ever widening chasm until we actually start asking questions. And the
Yeah.
minute I saw it from her perspective and apologized, it's amazing how quickly that diffuses things.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Right?
apologizing one, but two, just really seeing where the person is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Because instead of me holding my ground and going, but it was crazy busy and they didn't have any help and I was
Wasn't
trying
my
so
fault.
hard and it wasn't my fault.
I
The
didn't do
minute,
anything wrong.
well, and in my mind, I still kind of am sitting in a space of like, did I do anything? The point is, though, is it's not about whether communication was had or not. It
Mm-hmm.
was what were the feelings that were had because things didn't go as we hoped.
Oh, oh. You know what? I think when you edit this, I think you need to replay that over and over again about 5 or 10 times. Such a huge key factor that we miss in relationships all the time. What is it about, folks? It's about the feelings. It's about the people. Not about the situation. It's not about what happened. It's about how it made people feel. And I'll be the first one. My wife will be, she'll be listening to this and be like, Spence, you know what, buddy? You need to learn that. And I do. We all have a hard time with that, but it is so true. I love what you said. That beautiful, well said. I love it. Keep going.
And so that's actually is at the heart of why I wanted to talk about attachment styles.
Mm-hmm.
Is because if you're off in your world doing your thing and you're going, I didn't do anything wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but your partner is going, I called you 5 times. You didn't answer my phone call. You send me a measly text instead of calling me. I feel abandoned, unseen, and rejected. What are the feelings actually happening? Because my feelings are, well, I did what I was supposed to do and it wasn't enough. Her feelings are, you don't care about me. Guess what, people? The conversation isn't about who called and texted at that point. The conversation is, Do I matter to you? And so understanding attachment wounds and understanding attachment styles can revolutionize your relationship if you understand that what you do can trigger those wounds. Now, key piece in all of this, do not
Mm,
hide from your partner's wounds. Please,
yeah.
no. Wounds that were created in relationships can only be healed in relationships. You cannot
Mm.
go be a hermit and heal the relationship and then come back into society fully formed. Like,
You can't be a Tibetan monk and solve all your problems.
no, I want to be. I want to be
Yeah,
so bad. The
really?
amount of times that comes up in therapy, I'm
Yeah.
tired of disappointing people. I'm tired of hurting people. I'm
Yeah.
tired of having to see the disappointment in their eyes. I'm just over
Hmm.
it. I'm done. I want to run away. I want to
Hmm.
go be a Tibetan monk.
Hmm. You'd
But
look
all
good
that will
with shaved
do,
head.
it could be an interesting look.
It could.
I
Yeah.
have a good forehead. It's possible.
I'm already there.
Excuse me. So, like, I think we can fall into two camps. Either I want to run away and I never want to interact with anybody again because people hurt too much. This is
Hmm.
where I land quite often. Or it's okay, fine, I'll do the people thing, but I'm gonna be such a good partner, I'm never gonna trigger any of their triggers.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice?
It would be lovely, but the
Hmm.
entire point of a personal interconnected relationship is you get to know the other person, you find out their vulnerabilities, and you end up being the one that steps on all of those little trigger points.
Right? Oh man, why do we have to be that way? Mm.
Because the person who created them isn't always the person who's healthy enough to step back in and help you heal them.
Wow.
And
Well said.
so the next person who comes into your life in an interpersonal, close fashion gets to be that person.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, totally.
And so we learn attachment wounds, we learn triggers, not to avoid them, but to show additional compassion when they come up.
Hmm.
It's to be able to understand that I am feeling incredibly unheard right now,
Hmm.
even though not right now, to be clear. This is not, I need you to listen to me better, Spencer.
Yes, yes. Okay, honing in. My spidey sense is tingling.
Oh, my partner and I have just been watching, we're rewatching the Spider-Mans, and
Yeah.
we were just
Hmm.
watching the second one with the Peter Tingle.
Hmm. Yeah. Is your Peter tingle going off? Yeah, no, is yours?
No. Anyway, we are returning to base. We are returning to the conversation. Um, it's so that my partner can understand why when something happens, I feel incredibly unheard. And
Hmm.
it's for me to understand that when my partner is feeling abandoned or rejected,
Hmm.
I can connect those dots. And then it's not about get over it, or it's not, I'm a horrible person. How could I have done that thing? It's, oh, that must feel awful. I'm so sorry.
Hmm.
It's being able to step into their shoes and go, I might not have felt that way in that situation, but I have felt that way before. And that sucks. And that's painful. And that's awful. And I never want to do that to someone else. And so it's understanding why we feel what we feel to an extent. So then
Hmm.
we can offer empathy and compassion to the other person. So that this is when I edit
Ooh.
this and I put this at the beginning of the attachment style video.
It's a good one. Can I interject something?
Yes, please.
This is like hugely catastrophic, okay? And I hope people realize the magnitude of what this is. This is a part of a relationship, a partnership, a marriage, wherever you might be. This is a huge integral part of what makes couples extremely successful. Extremely hard, extremely difficult. We muck through an awful lot. But you know what? If you find a partner who is willing to walk down this road with you, who is willing to say, I see why you're this way. I see the trauma. I see the past. I see the problems. I see where you are a culmination of all these different past things. And I'm here to provide you a safe place to go through these things so you can learn, so you can grow, so you can become the potential individual that you are striving to become. So I think of this, and probably the best visualization that I can give this is when each one of us starts out in a long-term relationship, let's say, we start out as caterpillars that are weaving, a whole cocoon, right? And it's the process of building that cocoon and weaving that and putting that all together and covering ourselves and then it's the struggle to get to be in there and then the fight, right? Once it's time to get out, of ripping that apart, pulling it off, and trying to gain strength in our wings to be able to become that butterfly that we really, really, really want to be. It's like that process goes on over and over and over and over again in so many different ways, for both couple. And sometimes it'll be you both are going through that transformation process at the same time, or sometimes it'll be one will be going through it. I mean, if you're lucky, one will be going through it, and the other one will be, a butterfly for a little minute for you. Um, and so on and so forth. But most times it's like, okay, both of us are going through this. Both of us are dealing with this transitional time. And it's hard and it's mucky and it's difficult and it's sad. And like you said, we hurt, right? We hurt the other people
Mhm.
in the process. We don't mean to, we don't want to. We love the other individuals, but it's because we are learning about our attachment styles and we're learning about how that whole works and how we're made up of that type of style. And then going into how can we change and using the tools to improve and become better and all these different things. It is a ongoing finite process that sometimes we sit back and we're like, no, I don't want to do this. This is hard. This is crappy. This is mucky. Or maybe our partner doesn't have the capacity, right, to give us this room in order to become what we need to or want to become. And then that's when oftentimes couples are like I see couples all the time like, it just didn't work out. But boy, we are the bestest friends now that we're divorced. It just works out better that way. It's like, really? And to me, oftentimes that says, well, we can, watch each other grow and become the butterfly that we want them to be from a distance. We just can't be right there in the heat of it and the thick of it with the other person. So it's huge. It is like life altering, folks. If you're looking for a particular partner, if you are dating, if you are going through the process, or even if you're married, if you find somebody or if your partner can become that, and if you can become that for your partner, if you can provide that safe place and that opportunity and be that person for that other individual, and they can do that for you, you have found a keeper. You have found a very golden person. And with this, once you've gone through this process several times down the road, 20, 30 years down the road, and you sit back and you look at that person, you're like, wow, I am so much more in love with you now than when we first got married. It's because of going through this growth process, this change, using tools, understanding your attachment style, and going through the process that it takes to heal and to spread your wings so that you're able to fly as the butterfly you were meant to be. And now Allison can sit back and say, Spence, no, that was not what I said. That was all.
Well, whether it's what I said or not, I think that's an important takeaway from all of this.
Yeah.
Um, I think there's so many checklists that the world offers us of what to look for in a companion, to look for in a deep, long-lasting relationship. And that's not one of them. And I think that it needs to be. I think in order to actually survive having someone else in your life, it needs to be with someone who chooses to help you feel seen.
Mhm.
It needs to be with someone who can go, wow, you're reacting like that really hurts me. I'm choosing not to get defensive. I'm choosing to show up. I'm choosing empathy. I'm choosing curiosity because I want to see you. I think the most basic of human needs are to be seen, to be heard, and to be understood. And I think to be seen, to be heard, and to be understood, if you can offer that to another person, that is a superpower
Mhm.
that can bring them so much healing. Why do you think we actually have therapy? We have therapy because that is a safe place where someone who perhaps for the first time in their life can be seen, heard, and understood without judgment. And that's one thing to do it from someone that you pay. It is a whole nother thing to do it with someone who is willingly choosing to do this because they love you.
Mhm.
And so there is a lot of power in that. I did, as you were sharing, I thought about a framework that a TikToker uses that I think is very helpful in this process.
Nice.
This was not one of my original tools I was thinking of, but I think it's a very important one.
Mhm.
So this is from Good Morgan Therapy on TikTok. I've
Good Morgan,
also,
America.
yep, Good Morgan Therapy. She's on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, all of the things. And she is a couples therapist that does a fantastic job talking about her and her husband and their triggers. I will put the link in the description. But the method overall focuses on connection instead of problem solving. And so when someone comes to you, I mean, excellent for partner, excellent for child, excellent for anybody, but someone you care about comes to you and is really frustrated about something. You can be like me, and I immediately go to, I'm an awful, horrible person that has done something awful, horribly wrong. And then I get defensive, and then we get lost. Or we can use this method, which is SEEN. So the acronym is SEEN, and it's see me, hear me, help me, hold me.
Hmm.
And the idea is see me is that the person really is just wanting to feel noticed and appreciated for who they are. They just want to be seen in their frustration or seen in their confusion or seen in their hurt. Hear me is feeling understood when we speak. So really ultimately at the end of the day, I just want my partner to look at me and whether what I'm saying makes sense or not, whether it's justified or not, I just want my partner to look at me and say, I understand and be able to say what they understand. Like that's a
Mhm.
key piece here. Like
That's hard for those of us of the male persuasion, I will admit.
and not just say like, oh yeah, no, that makes sense. And then you're like, what makes sense? And it's like, well, the thing you just said.
Yeah.
No, what makes sense? And what I want to hear is, oh, it makes sense that when I said that you were being irresponsible because you didn't call me, that
Mhm.
hurt me because I thought I was being responsible.
Mhm.
And the answer at that point wasn't, am I irresponsible or not? The thought was, what was my intent for doing what I did? And feeling like, is that enough or not? Were my efforts appreciated or not? Were they received or not?
Mhm.
And so being heard is so important in this process. And then help me is fostering trust through mutual support, and then physical, and then being held. So physical affection, closeness, and intimacy. I'm just looking at this and I'm like, wait a second. What they're saying does not actually mean seen. So somebody is lying to
Hmm.
me. Those are the principles behind it. I will
Mhm.
drop the link so that we can all look at it. But I'm like, that SHHH does not give me seen. So we have some additional
Nope.
questions here.
Maybe in another language. I don't know.
Maybe. But the important point here is not so much the acronym as the idea is that you do want this person in your life to feel seen. And
Mhm.
so I will put it here so that you can, oh, that's what it is. Okay. So that's what you're doing for the person, what it's helping them with. So the scene is scared, embarrassed, expectations, and needs.
Mhm.
So I'm scared. What am I scared of? So this is you're providing space for your partner to be scared and figure out what they're scared of. You're giving them space to feel embarrassed, to figure out what they're embarrassed about, to acknowledge your expectations and their expectations. Did we agree on those expectations? And then what do I need right now? So that's the actual acronym. What I just went over above is what you're trying to help that person feel psychologically to want to reconnect with you. So that's the questions you ask for them to feel seen. But what you're doing is you're helping them feel noticed and appreciated. You're helping them feel understood. You're rebuilding trust and support, and you're reestablishing closeness and affection, physical affection, because touch is important in all of this. I am
Mhm.
learning over and over and over again. There's been a lot of anecdotes I've been hearing about how when couples get mad, if they can maintain touch, it will diffuse the situation.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to be very angry at someone when they're far away. And so it's very important to maintain touch. Now, I'm not saying like forcibly make out with them while they're angry. That would be bad and not consent, and please don't do it.
No, well, I mean, thought has merit,
Make up, making out, and other intimacy is for the making up part, not the in
Ah,
the moment part.
that must be what I'm doing wrong. I knew I was doing something wrong. I don't know.
But I know that when I get into disagreements with my partner, we keep a hand. Sometimes it's even just a pinky. Our pinkies just stay touching. Even if we're
Hmm.
sitting far apart on the couch, the pinkies touch, or there's a
Mm,
hand on the leg, or there's just something. This idea that maybe our minds right now are on opposite edges of this, but we're still together because
hmm.
there's so much power of putting the problem in front of you instead of making your partner the problem.
Hmm.
And so ultimately, that's what all of this is about. Understand what the problem is because of the wounds at play, so
Hmm.
that the issue is the thing in front of you. You're working together to face it instead of making each other the problem.
Hmm.
I've just spent a whole bunch of time talking, Spencer. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And then we're actually going to talk about disorganized attachment. It's going to be great.
There is a lot of merit in what you say, and as I'm sitting here thinking, there's a lot, like you said, about touch, which is huge and important. And there's even research that's been done about hugging your kids, for seconds, like I think it's like 30 to 60 seconds, somewhere around there. um, and how the connection, right, is built, and how much more connected people feel the more that they have good, appropriate, consensual touch. And in some situations and cases, you know what? You could be having a conversation with one of the kids, and they might feel really, really uncomfortable. And you're like, oh, son, daughter, whoever, I just want to give you a reassuring hug. And in times like that, sometimes it's a good idea to say, hey, I really feel like you need a hug. Would that be okay? And respect what they say. No, I really don't feel like a hug is a good idea. I really don't want to do that. But the important part of that is the embrace, or the touch factor is huge. That is a big catalyst and a very large bridge at keeping us together. Is that physical touch. And that's, I mean, from birth all the way up, there's so many different incremental times that helps with brain development, um, long snuggling time, stuff like that creates a great amount of connection within the body. Some situations, the breathing becomes synchronized, right? And
Mm.
heart rates can become synchronized in some cases. There's all types of research that's gone into the power of touch. And I think that is absolutely crucial and important, for so many different ways. I mean, even when you're arguing, if you're still touching, you feel like there is going to be a resolution. There is going to be something positive that comes out of this. Yeah, we go through the hard and the muck and the mire stuff. Also, the other thing too is if you're touching somebody, it's really kind of hard to yell and scream. It's really hard to get into a defensive posture.
Hmm.
There's a lot, right, that goes into the idea behind what this looks like. So yeah, the power of touch is well researched and very important. And if you can touch those that you're struggling with, or you're going to have a crucial conversation with, and it's going to be high stakes and high emotions and all those different things, touch can really help ground us. If and this is another side tangent, but if you believe in chakras and different things like that,
Mm.
um, that's another really important thing. We ground ourselves through soil and dirt and being grounded. So sometimes taking off shoes, putting your feet on the ground and just visualizing that groundedness. Some people visualize like roots coming out from their feet and grounding them. Also, the other thing is while you're grounding yourself, holding on to somebody else because they are your lifeline, right? They are the help button, the panic button, the support, the backup, whatever the case might be. They're there and they're not going to go anywhere. Now, sometimes that's hard for people that jump into a flight phase, right? They're like, no,
Mm.
I can't take this controversy right now. I have to go. I have to do this. Blah, blah, blah. And they need their safe place too. They need to have that ability to do that so that they can come back. And when touch is appropriate, then we can touch, then we can have a conversation, then we can move forward with those things. So yeah, that's incredible. Touch is so amazing, so amazing. We need so much more touch, in life, so much more appropriate touch in life because there are so many people that just don't get enough of it.
Mm.
We don't give enough hugs. We don't
We get so
handshake
weird
as much. Yeah,
a bit physical touch. We get so
yeah,
weird about it.
yeah.
But so this idea about touch, this idea about hugs,
Hmm.
best known from therapist Virginia Satir's famous advice. We
Hmm.
need 4 hugs for survival, 8 for maintenance, and 12 for psychological growth.
That's why we're all
And
psychotic.
no, it is
We
because
just don't get 12 hugs a day. I mean,
we're just not.
who does that?
Well, but this goes back to the quote that I gave about like loneliness is the equivalent
Hmm.
of like smoking 2 packs a day. Because
Yes, I knew I
if
was doing
you
something right.
if you are isolated and you are not even getting 4 hugs, you are not even hitting survival.
Mm.
And so you need 4 hugs for survival, 8 for maintenance, 12 for psychological growth. We need hugs between 5 to 20 seconds to trigger the release of oxytocin.
Hmm.
So if you're going up to people and you're like, hi, you buddy, hi, you pal, hi, friend. I'm making really awkward hugs. That's what's happening behind the screen. That also should
Wow.
probably be a blooper. Anyway,
There you go. I like how you change your voice every time somebody came up to you too. Hi, buddy.
hi, pal, hi, you big guy. If we're just doing this quick grab and release and we're
Hmm.
releasing them back into the wild, a hug is great. Touch is important, but we need 5 to 20 seconds to actually trigger the release of oxytocin.
Hmm.
Um, and then if you apply like deep pressure, like slight
Hmm.
firm pressure during a hug, it signals safety to the brain. So it enhances feelings of social connection and trust. Um, Psychologists suggest a 5 to 10 second embrace is the sweet spot to maximize the release of feel good neurotransmitters without freaking the other person you're hugging out.
Hmm.
Now, as Spencer said, consensual hugging and touch is important. You do not know what people's backstories are. You do not know how, why they might be uncomfortable for a reason, and it doesn't matter. If they're a hugger, great. And it can be as easy as just saying, hey, are you a hugger?
Hmm.
Give that person a hug if they say yes. If you don't know them, maybe hold off on the 20-second hugs, but 20-second hugs are something
That'd
to
be a
hold
little
on to.
awkward. That's 20 seconds of awkwardness right there.
Okay, let's see. 1 Mississippi,
Yeah.
2 Mississippi,
No,
three
no, no. Don't
Mississippi,
don't back away.
four
We have to keep
Mississippi,
hugging.
5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi, 10
Wow.
Mississippi. As you're squirming over there, Spencer, that was too many Mississippis.
Today's Mississippis were brought to you in part by Huggies. No, I'm just kidding.
Actually, Kay, if you want to sponsor us, Huggies,
Yeah, there you
options
go. We
there.
can keep going. We can keep talking about hugging all day long.
But hugging is important. Touch is important. Something to remember with your partner.
Hmm.
It's been a really big, long, hectic day. You're 2 ships passing in the night. You have to kick kids everywhere. Give yourself 10 Mississippis. Reconnect to that person. Anchor into that relationship and that connection you have with that person, especially in a world where we feel so ungrounded. Spencer, as you were talking about, like taking your shoes off and putting your feet in grass. There
Hmm.
have been some work weeks in my life where I did that most of my lunchtimes. I would just go outside and stick my feet in the grass and starfish out so I could connect as much as my body as possible to the ground. Mother Earth is meant to recycle the energy we don't know what to do with. Please take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Please, please, please take advantage of that. Okay. Any other thoughts? I'm liking where
Yes.
we're going with this. Oh,
Just
go Spencer, go.
just one more thing. So, if you want to start something like this in your family, and many of you are sitting back going, "Oh man, that make me feel so uncomfortable," but I want to do something.
I
Um,
hugged my brother once after reading this. I didn't let go. He kind of went in for like the clamp and go, where you
yeah,
like put your arms around and then you step, and I like held on, and he's like, "What are you doing?" Consent is important. Ask
yes,
first, even if you have long-standing relationships with these people.
yep. And I think that's interesting. There's a lot of people in my family and in my extended family that know if you hug me, you are going to get a really nice long hug. And that's just something that a lot of people know about me because that's something that's kind of been around. Like I've got nieces and nephews and stuff like that. They're like, oh, that's exactly what Uncle Spence does, for example. So that being said, if you are wanting to incorporate this, you can just gradually step up. Don't go in for the 60-second hug right away. Instead, take time to work your way up, for 5 second, 10 second, 15, 20, so on and so forth, and work your way up. Yes, the consent is important, and if that's something that they're open to, maybe to not shut it off all because some people go from 0 to 100. So they're like, oh, I should hug everybody. Yes, hugging is what we all need, and we're going to solve the world with all the hugs. Yeah, that's great.
Yes,
Okay, let's just
and
let's just take a breath. Because where that may be true, everybody kind of has to work their way up to that. And if you haven't been a family that has been real biggie, huggy types, then you really need to take time to work your way up to it.
Mhm.
And then you'll eventually get there, and then it won't feel so awkward, and then more people feel comfortable about it. You'll find quite a bit more success if that's something you want to implement in your family, and it really does work. There's a lot of information to back up what we're talking about here, and it's so true. One real quick 30-second story that has absolutely nothing to do with anything, but there was a gentleman that I heard speak one time. He was and he probably still is a public speaker and tours around a bunch of stuff and does stuff for students and student government groups and things like that. Anyway, he wanted to get into the Guinness World Book of Records of the most hugs in I want to say a minute or something like that, some ridiculous amount of time, and he did that here in southern Utah in Cedar City, and it was just like all these college kids lined up and it's like hug 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 bam 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 bam, and I remember that we were talking about the importance of hug and he had these hug stickers and if you need a hug and how powerful it is and how it's just something we need more in our life. But yeah, there's something between a really quick bam hug and that elongated, more intentional hug that we crave. And we may not even know that we miss it or crave it because sometimes we meander through life and we think, oh, I'm missing something. I don't know what it is. And what do I need to do? And how do I need to change things and all those things? And then the light comes on once somebody actually does give you that hug. I've had some people, family members, who come and see me at a family reunion and they're like, oh man, I just needed a Spence hug, and it has been such a long time, and I have been so
Mm.
starved. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of like you too. Yeah, it's kind of nice. Anyway, and that's when things are good and appropriate, and yeah, when things work out well, people really miss that feeling of unconditional love.
Mhm.
So yeah, and it's a healer. It is a huge, big time healer when it comes to all of these attachment styles, no
Mhm.
matter which one you're in. So
I
yeah,
see you and I hug you regardless.
yeah, yeah. So there you go.
And what's interesting for us as humans is like the times when we need that the most, we're most likely to be running and hiding from it. I think about when I had first come out to my family and things were really in a transitional phase. We
Hmm.
weren't all sure where we were all going to land. I stopped hugging the way that I usually do. I also am known for hugs in my family and my aunts and uncles like giving just really good solid hugs, and my extended family was a hugging family. My
Hmm.
personal family was not a hugging family. So
Hmm.
But hugging was a big deal, and I knew that as I was trying to transition into like who knows, who doesn't, I feel really awkward because I still trying to figure this out. I don't know what's happening. I pulled away from that hug because hugging someone is incredibly vulnerable.
Hmm.
Hugging someone, I mean, you legitimately are opening your arms to all of the vital organs of your body.
Yeah.
So, and even if you trust that person implicitly, your instinct is still protect these vulnerable
Hmm.
parts of my body. So like to offer that degree of vulnerability is a really big deal to someone. And when we are not, when we are feeling psychologically uncertain,
Hmm.
it can be very scary to do that. And so if you're like, yeah, hugging's great, but y'all are crazy because psychological uncertainty, go find a like not a random dog. Consent's still important even for dogs, but like
Ask the dog, can I give you a hug?
find a petting zoo
I
or
need a puppy.
like up on campus where I'm at, like they bring in like therapy dogs and like you can go pet a puppy and like spend time
Hmm.
with them. Like there are avenues where you can go to find animals, to find living beings that can love on you back. Please go find them. Please go make connections. Please find someone or something that you can be vulnerable with.
Hmm.
Because like you said, Spencer, that is incredibly healing. And ultimately, that is where our attachment wounds come from. I'm not going to say that, like, if you have an attachment wound, it's because you didn't get 24 hugs in a day the way you were supposed to. That's not what I mean. But I just got
For
on a
the, it's probably
Reddit.
that and about 50 other things. Just, yeah. But I mean, granted, if you grew up in a broken household or, with broken, people who had a lot of trauma in their lives, yeah, you probably didn't get that many hugs, which is probably a key indicator of the fact that a lot of us grew up in a situation, even though we had really, really good parents, maybe we didn't get everything we needed.
And like we said last week, that's not because anybody is awful or horrible
Hmm.
or malicious or doing anything wrong. It's that we're all doing our best. And I had to laugh. I stumbled onto a Reddit as we've been talking, and it was talking about how, well, those numbers are fake. Okay, so maybe it's not 4, 8, and 12. Maybe that's not the ratios, but the more hugs you get, the more psychologically stable and supported you will feel. So hug more. But I did find it very interesting looking at disorganized attachment, also known as fearful avoidant,
Hmm.
which is the least common attachment style. But individuals with this attachment style are associated with a negative self view as well as a negative view of others.
Hmm.
So they seek close relationships but are scared of them. So it kind of feels like a personal battle within themselves because they want to connect, they want to be there for people, but they do not want to be vulnerable. They know
Hmm.
they need the hug, but they're terrified of opening their arms. And this attachment style develops through trauma as infants and children, which causes these individuals to have a difficult time forming relationships. They can
Hmm.
become withdrawn socially, they do not easily trust others, and this continues into adulthood. So, and so we see this in relationships, that in romantic relationships it takes longer to establish trust. And these individuals may shut down if the relationship becomes too serious because they don't want to allow themselves to become that vulnerable.
Hmm.
Um, and then they are nervous when they're in a stable relationship because they're not used to what stability feels like.
Yeah.
Um, what I
Because the
find,
opposite becomes a really nice, comfy blanket.
Mhm.
Because we get used to it. We get used to the emptiness. We get used to the hard. We get used to the cold. We get used to we acclimate to the climate because we are human beings, and in our primeval state, that's
We
what we do.
adapt to
We adapt.
survive.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
I find it interesting about this one that they have a negative view of themselves and of others. So
Hmm.
the other two we talked about last week. So the anxious, anxious preoccupied, or known as anxious ambivalent,
Hmm.
comes from they trust themselves, but they are afraid of trusting others. The dismissive avoidant has a positive view of self, but a negative view of others.
Hmm.
And so each one of these attachment wounds is sort of how you connect with yourself. And so if you were to bring this down to its basis level and you're like, how do I figure this out? Well, we
Hmm.
identified last time that if you need a lot of validation, it's
Hmm.
because you have a negative view of yourself and you need to be
Hmm.
informed that you're enough.
Hmm.
Um, if you are distrustful of others and reticent to connect with others, then that means that you're okay with your view of yourself, but you have a negative view of others. So those key pieces kind of can inform you of which kind of point of the attachment you're on. Um, and if you find yourself fearful of others and fearful of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
that is a potential indication of a fearful, avoidant, or a disorganized attachment. And like we said all throughout, none of these things mean you're broken.
Mm-hmm.
None of these things mean you're irreparable. None of these things mean that you're an awful person. It just means you're going to need connection in a different way than other people, or you're going to need connection differently than your partner does. And so it's just important to see kind of where you're landing on that spectrum and where your partner is landing on the spectrum. Now, as promised, I will say, I told you we'd go back to secure attachment. We've arrived at secure attachment. It's only taken an hour. People that have a secure attachment style are often associated with high self-esteem and have an easier time forming healthy relationships with others because ding, 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 they trust themselves and they trust other people because they had consistent attachment. They had parents who could show up to give the hugs, to check in psychologically and emotionally, who did not helicopter. And now some people, because they're awesome human beings, we're all awesome
Mm-hmm.
human beings, but for reasons we don't fully understand, maybe they didn't have parents who could show up for them, but they still had awesome self-esteem and they still view the world as a generally good place.
Right.
These
Yeah.
Your childhood experience is not a guarantee of what your attachment style will be, but it does offer clues. And ultimately, that's all we're trying to do is offer you additional clues to see. And
Mm-hmm.
what our hope is by using hugs, by using regulation techniques, by supporting yourself, communicating needs, using the scene method, is that you can establish enough trust in the relationship and do enough repair in the relationship that you can create a secure attachment.
Yeah.
You're having thoughts, Spencer, go for it. You're not having thoughts? You had a
No,
very
I'm good.
thought-provoking look on your face.
Yeah, well, actually, I'll tell you what I'm doing in the background here is I'm trying to find an attachment style test that we can link for folks
Ooh,
because
I
I'm
love
sure
it.
there's a lot of people that are sitting back going, yeah, okay, Allison, you talked about all these attachment styles and everything like that, but how do I know? Because part of me, I've sat back and I'm like, yeah, I'm avoidant here, and I don't like this here, and but I mean, could I be in this category? And sometimes just talking about it can be something to where we might get frustrated, right? Because we're like,
Mhm.
I don't know where I
It could be
belong.
anything.
Yes, yeah, and there could be a little shifting because you might sit back and say, well, when I was a kid, I was here, and now I feel like I'm more here. Anyway, so I'm looking for some type of an assessment tool that's free to the public that folks can go and check out and be able because I think that's important, and I think our listeners will also appreciate that. So be looking for that with this episode. We're going to see if we can find out something to help you because the more you understand about your attachment style, the more you can sit back and say, oh, hey, this is what I need to do, and this is the direction I need to head, and these are the changes I need to make. And especially as we transition into talking about tools and different things like that, that's going to be important too. Now, one thing about the tools too is that most of them are going to work no matter what attachment style you're in. So
Hmm.
there's some comfort there. But I think it's important to map that out a little bit more. Anyway, that was my deep thought.
See, no, it's a fantastic deep thought, and it informs all of you guys you have hope
Hmm.
that you can find some answers. We'll throw this out there. Just as Spencer and I are not qualified to diagnose your attachment style or your
Hmm.
attachment wounds, you are not qualified to diagnose your partner's attachment wounds.
Oh,
This
but it's
is,
so much fun. It's
oh,
what you do at
please,
night when you're ruminating. No, I'm just
please
kidding.
do not go to your partner, point at them with a shaking figure, and say, I always knew you were an anxious avoidant. It's not going to
Hmm.
help anybody. This
Hmm.
is just to
First, they're
inform
going to look at you and go,
communication.
wait, what? What are you
Then you're going to
talking
share
about?
this podcast with them, and then you're going to take it all back, and you'll just have a lovely conversation about how you feel.
Mm.
Spencer, while you were looking at that, I did want to look so we've actually covered some of the tools that I was already talking about, which
Hmm.
fantastic. The tool that I'd like to end on for tonight is called CPR.
Mm.
And CPR, there's probably a couple different acronyms for it, but the idea of it is that you want to be able to preserve your relationship.
Hmm.
Something is happening that is preventing you from feeling safe or actively engaged in the relationship, but you would like the relationship to continue. So you're seeing content, you're seeing things in the relationship that aren't working for you, you're seeing a pattern emerging that you have some concerns about, but you do want to preserve the relationship. And so a CPR is you pondering and going, okay, what am I seeing that I'm feeling unsafe with? What am I seeing that is problematic for us to continue this relationship? What specific behavior pattern is this being exemplified? So if I were to have this conversation with this person, what is the specific behavior that I'm saying, when you do this, I feel this way? And then you offer them options. So the idea is, what are options you can live with? Don't give them two options. Don't go like people pleaser mode in this moment is not going to help you because you
Hmm.
need, in order to actually repair the relationship, to progress the relationship, they need to be options that you feel okay about.
Hmm.
And so I'm going to give the example of the person who taught me this, just because it's least likely to get me into into trouble. But it was a mother who was watching her father interact with her daughter, and he was making some comments about weight and about food and about appearance. And this mother was like, that is not how I want my daughter to grow up. That is not an experience that I want her to have. And so she thought, and she's like, what would be improvements to this situation so that I feel safe and engaged in this relationship? And so she thought about two answers of what she would present. And so she went to this stepfather and said, I love you so much. And it's so important to focus on the I love you piece. Why are you having this conversation? This conversation is that you care about this person and you want this relationship to continue. And so you focus on that. You emphasize that and say, this matters to me. This is important to me. And then you go, this is a pattern that I am noticing that concerns me because this is what my expectation is. This is what my hope is for my child, for our relationship, for these interactions. I know you care about my child. I know you love her and you want her to have a good experience. This pattern that I'm seeing means that she's not having that positive experience that we really want for both of you. So, would you be willing to either stop saying these things to her, talking about these things in these ways, or we'll be adjusting when we come to visit? Which would you prefer? Now, in this case, it kind of felt like a punishment to me, but that's not what it actually is. This conversation is not like I'm setting a boundary so I can punish you because you didn't follow the boundary. Also, we need to have a discussion about what a boundary is.
All in good time. That's another show right there.
Okay,
Boundaries.
okay, fine. We will
Bum
do
bum
boundaries
bum.
later. But the short version is a boundary is not what you use, is not a stick used to punish someone else. A boundary is the expectation you're setting of what you will do if they do not respect that boundary. It has nothing to do with what you're going to do to them. It has everything to do with what you will choose to do if a thing happens. So, this is just a boundary conversation of I want us to have a relationship. So could you either not say things about her weight or her appearance about food, or we won't be coming around for meal times. We really want to have this relationship. We want to have support. Will you please let me know what is most doable for you so that we can continue growing and expanding and strengthening this relationship? So, I have found that I'm also still working on building up to have these conversations, but I am getting better. And for me, there need conversations because I'm still kind of nervous. My partner is wonderful, amazing, and awesome, and my attachment style is still anxious and scared and avoidant. And
Yeah,
so
right.
when it comes to me stating my needs, I don't always feel comfortable just saying this is what I need. But what I found is if I can say, hey, I'm running out of energy and I'm not able to do everything that I would like to do, I want to be able to show up for you. And so I need either this or this. Either can you help me with dishes or can you help me declutter this space? Or can we talk about why that's not going to work for you right now? Which that one's still kind of a hard one just because my brain tells me that if they say no, then they don't love me. We're working through that. It's a process. Um, but I have found how much more supportive it is to myself if I offer options
Mhm.
because then I don't feel like a dictator. Then I don't feel like I'm giving ultimatums. I'm simply communicating these would both be wins for me. Which one would be a win for you? And that's what we're looking for. This is where we circle back to the conflict styles. This is where we are returning to this idea of we are, some of us are avoidant, some of us are fearful, some of us are anxious. And the hope is for each one of these situations is we're building to collaboration. We're building to something that is a win-win. And so your partner comes to you and says, "Hey, I want McDonald's. What do you want?" Maybe you don't care. Maybe you like McDonald's the same amount you love Culver's, and you say, "Great, let's
Chick-fil-A.
go to McDonald's." I used to love Chick-fil-A, but they use peanut oil and I'm allergic to peanuts, so
Oh,
Chick-fil-A is no
dang
longer a
it.
thing that exists in my world.
What
So
about In-N-Out? They use peanut oil too?
I don't know what they use, but their French fries are gross.
Well, that's true. Yeah, they're not the best French fries.
Sorry, In-N-Out. I'm sure you're wonderful people.
Boy, we're not going to get many sponsorships this way.
We're just gonna get the really specific niche
Yeah,
one.
right.
That's the important piece here.
These are the Spence and Allison approved.
These are the ones that we love, and we can speak to you about how much we love them. Um, but that's where it all comes back to the conflict resolution. Each one of them has their positives and negatives, but what we're ultimately looking for are what are your win-wins. And so if you understand the things that are painful for you, the wounds that are triggered, the needs that you need to be able to support yourself through that, that's when you can go to your partner and say, these are both wins for me. Could you, which one's a win for you?
Hmm.
And the more times that we can have win-win-win conversations, the stronger your relationship is, and the more that you can create secure relationships.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I had a lot more to say on that than well, no, we knew that I had a lot to say on that. So, Spencer, questions, too long, didn't listens. Um, Dear audience, if you would love to hear more on conflict resolution styles, we can do that. I think I gave way more of them than I thought I had in the last episode, so I
Oh, it's
haven't
great.
really dove into it. But if you'd love more, please let us know. I will put kind of my reference material in the description, so please look in the description for more information. But at the end of the day, offer yourself compassion and be curious.
Hmm.
Is that would be my too long didn't listen. Offer
Compassion
yourself
and curiosity.
and be curious.
I love
The two
it.
C's.
Yeah.
Okay, Spencer, what's your takeaways from this delightful two-night adventure?
Oh wow. I will tell you what. I have learned a lot. Like I said, I've always known about attachment styles, and I've always really been, oh yeah, attachment styles, right, 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 right. But I think it's another thing to really sit back and say, okay, where do I fit in this grand scheme of things? Which one do I gravitate to the most? And that's why I think it's fun to find some type of an assessment. But even as I'm taking these assessments, while we're having this conversation, I'm like, oh my God, I'm not exactly sure how to answer that question. I'm not exactly sure if that really fits. So it really takes a lot of self-awareness to really sit back and say, okay, yes, there's something going on here. Most of us are in all the other attachment styles except for the secure. Unfortunate, but true.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a good place to start is in those areas. And understanding a secure attachment is important because that's the ultimate goal of which we're heading towards. And so as I'm going through this and as we've had this discussion, I'm sitting back and I'm saying, okay, where do I fit in this grand scheme of things? And then what are the steps I take because I'm a really step oriented person in order to bring these? And it begins to answer questions like, how do I express love and concern for others? How do I feel that love and concern for others? How do I feel about those who are in my circle of relationships? And having a little bit of an evaluation in your life and saying, okay, I have maybe a few close relationships, right? Then I don't have a lot of, I have a lot of little sprinkle relationships here, there, and everywhere. But there's not a whole lot of really big, strong, long lasting relationships with people. So what, there again, what does that say about your attachment style? And that's an important thing to keep in mind because some of us today, especially with the huge rise of introversion and stuff like that, there's a lot of people that don't have a whole lot of close relationships. They have maybe one or two strong ones, and that's about it. Maybe they have a really best friend and they have a partner. Between those two, that takes enough out of them. And some people may be sitting there, especially if we bring in, I mean, not an introvert or extrovert, but if we bring neurotypical and neuro spicy into this, you know,
Oh,
I mean, that's a whole nother level. Now you're saying, wow, Spence, you're bringing in all these other episodes that you guys have already recorded and stuff. How does that all fit? How does that all work together? Because those who are neurotypical are a little bit different on the spectrum of where they are in their attachment styles, and then those that are neurodivergent are also a little bit different,
hmm.
right? And that plays a whole nother role into it. So sometimes looking at the neurodivergence of things may help you understand why you gravitate to a certain attachment style versus neurotypical and why you gravitate to yours. And that doesn't necessarily mean that neurotypical people have a really good attachment style. So don't think you're out of the
Uh,
woods, neurotypicals. Um, because it's really interesting to piece this together. But at the end of the day, I hope all of our listeners are going through the same thing that I'm going through, asking some deep questions, being honest with yourself, right? And saying, where do I really lie? And why? Why am I that way? Why do I piece this together? A lot of it has to do with our past, right? We're gonna look at our past. We're gonna learn from the past, and a lot of it has to do with here, now, today. Why is it you have a job that you go to that is very customer service facing and it sucks the ever loving
oh
livelihood out of
dear.
you, and then why are there other people that can be just around people all the time? It's like, oh yeah, I'm energized and jazzed up and different things like that. And then they come home to their families and they're just dead. And so there's a whole lot of things. And I hope as you do some self-reflection on what we've talked about in these last couple episodes and what Allison has talked about, you really sit back to say, yeah, I really want to pinpoint where I am. And then I really want to work on these tools in order to make things better and improve where I'm at.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Spencer. Any final thoughts?
Um,
Those
Not
were
on
some
that topic.
fantastic ones. So
Yeah, no, that about sucks me dry right now. Other than the fact that stay tuned, like I said, we will include with this episode, hopefully, a an assessment tool that will be helpful. And I'm trying a bunch of those different. I'm going to find the best one for you to take so that you can assess yourself. We'll see how that works, and it'll be free, and you won't have to pay a whole bunch of money to get results and all that kind of stuff. But
and
we'll
only have
see.
to give one email address and a cuticle, not
Yeah,
an arm and a leg
right.
and a dog.
Hmm.
Um, we I next time I believe we are diving into psychology of Disneyland because of just in
Mm.
Disney in general, because
Oh
it's time for
wow.
us to have some fun. We've been diving into the deep and nitty-gritty. So we're gonna have ourselves a whole bunch of fun. Spencer has already found a fantastic intro song for us for next week, and I am so excited. Um, so that is happening, folks. Then we will dive into potentially boundaries we see where we live, but I think that expectations and boundaries are a fantastic discussion to talk about. But
Hmm.
before we go all of those places, I wanted to take a minute for a ICU minute.
Good.
Um, because I've been talking to some people, and for some reasons we do know why, and for some reasons we don't know why. Life just feels really heavy right now. And I just want to say you're not alone. You're not alone if life is feeling heavy and confusing and frustrating. And it can feel that way because of what you see on the news. It can feel that way because of what is going on inside your family. It can feel that way because of work. Or it might just feel that way because it feels that way and you have no idea why. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not flawed. You're not broken. You're not problematic. You're not messy. And even if you are any of those things, that doesn't make you a problem. It doesn't make you problematic. It makes you human. And so thank you for joining us on this human journey. Thank you for joining us in the heaviness. Thank you for joining us in the laughter. Thank you for joining us in the knowledge, and thank you for just showing up and being. Because we are very grateful that you are here on this planet, shining your light, offering your light, being the glorious version of you that's you. And Spencer and I are humans. I'm sure you've noticed that at this point.
I hope.
we are doing what we love, being here with you each week, and we get tired and we get frustrated and we get scared too. So thank you for joining us as a group of people who are happy and tired and scared and concerned and hopeful and all of the wide variety of things we feel as humans. You're welcome here in whatever form you happen to be taking at any given moment. Thanks for joining us on the journey. Because we hope in these discussions, we hope in these tools, we hope in being seen that we can build a world of joy, that we build a world of hope, and we build a world where we can share what's heavy because we have enough compassion to know we're all going to feel heavy at some point. So thank you for joining us. We're so glad that you join us. Please like, subscribe, comment, share your thoughts, share where you're coming from, give us suggestions for new things. And we are excited to see you every week.
I love it. I couldn't top that. That was just beautiful. That need we say more?
I guess not. So onward and upward to another fantastic week. And we look forward to seeing you next time, where Spencer gets to put his Mickey ears on, and it's going to be a grand old time. Hey, I have a Minnie Mouse hat that also might be coming out. So
awesome.
That's where we'll start. So thank you for joining us. Make good choices, and when I say good choices, do your best. And we love you.
Love it. Thanks, everyone.